biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to Locked On Now NBA, local experts with all the biggest stories on the hardwood. I'm your host, Daniella Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Our Locked On NBA hosts are ready to help break down everything from Thursday night. So let's start with our biggest game.
The biggest game.
The LA Clippers went on the road and lost in Memphis thanks to a bit of an all-over-the-place effort on defense. Ja Morant took control in the second half, and Locked On Clippers tells you how LA lost this one.
What's going on, Clips fans? Chuck Mockler here, coming at you after the Clippers drop one to the Memphis Grizzlies. This one just felt a little disjointed. Paul George did have 23, 5, and 6, and just one turnover, which is awesome. But the Clippers' third quarter defense could not contain Ja Morant in any sense of the word. Reggie Jackson did add 18, but there was just no paint defense in this one. It felt more like the second night of a back-to-back as opposed to the first, which it was. Hey, no Nick Batum kind of meant the defense was a little shorthanded. On to the Pelicans. Let's hope they can tighten it up a bit before heading to New Orleans.
The Grizzlies beat the Clippers with an overall efficient night, but our Locked On Grizzlies host isn't just saying that. He's got the numbers to back it up.
After 2 days of rest following a pretty poor stretch of basketball last week, the Memphis Grizzlies bounced back with a big 120-108 victory against the Los Angeles Clippers. Sean Coleman here with you from Locked On Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies did it by combining their old styles of success with their new styles. Plus 12 in terms of points off turnovers, plus 38 when it came to points in the paint, and 11 for 26 night from three, shooting over 40%. Jaren Jackson Jr. with 4 blocks and 3 threes of his own, showing his two-way presence, but it was Ja Morant. For years, the Grizzlies have seen stars of the NBA be able to take over, and it would just be hard for the Grizzlies be able to counteract that with a single talent. Well, tonight, when Paul George was trying to lead the Clippers back, it was Ja Morant basically in a heavyweight bout, matching him basket for basket, and it was Ja Morant who got the upper hand due to the support that he got from the Grizzlies. Overall, a great night from Ja, Jaren, Dillon, and Desmond Bane. If you want to talk about offensive balance, the Grizzlies were dominant on the run, in the paint, very good from three, and had contributions from all over. This is the exact type of setup that the Grizzlies want to have consistently in order to win games. We'll have this and much more on the post-game edition of the Locked On Grizzlies podcast.
The Golden State Warriors won their 13th game in the first 15 last night over Cleveland thanks to a strong team effort. Locked On Cavs says the depth of this Warriors team was just too much to overcome.
Hey everyone, Evan Damrell here, co-host of Locked On Cavs with a Locked On Now takeaway from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse after the Cleveland Cavaliers 104-89 loss to the Golden State Warriors. Well, it's pretty clear that the strength in numbers mantra the Golden State plays by is true, and I can't really count how many players came off the bench for Golden State. I think it was a double-digit amount, but they clearly outplayed Cleveland's 3 bench rotation of Kevin Love, Denzel Valentine, and Dylan Windler, and because of that, we're able to outscore Cleveland 33-19 in terms of bench production. Thankfully, there's a silver lining to this, as Cleveland now has 3 days off, and they hopefully will get Lauri Markkanen, Jared Allen, and Lamar Stevens back soon. And when they do that, the Cavaliers should hopefully look a little bit more potent offensively. Hear about this and more on tomorrow's Locked On Cavs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Locked On Now is going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the rest of the action from Thursday night. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. If you haven't tried a Built Bar yet, you are totally missing out. They say it's a protein bar, but I promise you it doesn't taste like one. You have to try one yourself to believe it. Most protein bars are chalky or waxy or just really don't taste great, but a Built Bar is soft, covered in 100% real chocolate. And when you bite into it, you know you're eating something different. It's more of an experience, and I swear it is one you will enjoy. Built Bars are low carb, low calorie, low fat, low sugar, and high in protein. So all of the healthy benefits on top of just being delicious. There are so many flavors for you to try, including coconut, raspberry, mint brownie, coconut almond, salted caramel, double chocolate, and cherry barcia. This month, Built is coming out with new limited time flavors as well every 3 to 4 days. So check out their website and check it often. You don't want to miss out on some great new flavors. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15. That's right. If you use LOCKED15, you will get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Now NBA. It's time to take a look around the league, and we're going to start with the Spurs and Timberwolves.
Let's go around the league.
The Minnesota Timberwolves beat the struggling Spurs in Minnesota last night. Great offense powered the T-Wolves to a 25-point victory. Locked On Wolves and Locked On Spurs tell us the story of the blowout.
Ben Beacon with Locked On Wolves here. The Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the San Antonio Spurs by 15 on Thursday night in what was probably the most complete offensive performance of the season so far for the Wolves, or at least since opening night, the big win over the Houston Rockets. The Timberwolves scored 115 points in this one, shot 48% from the field, and over 40% from three for the first time in a long time. Anthony Edwards scored the first 7 points of this game. He only scored 6 points the rest of the way. It was all Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell in this one. Cat had 25, 12, and 5. And was fantastic. D'Lo came on strong, especially late. Taurean Prince had his best game in a Timberwolves uniform, scored 13 points in only 15 minutes, hit 4 threes. He was actually ejected at the end of the third quarter due to a flagrant 2 foul. But all around, probably the best offensive game we've seen from the Timberwolves in almost a month. And the Timberwolves have now won 2 straight. They won both games in a back-to-back. We're going to break this whole thing down. Key takeaways, what was so much better about the Timberwolves offense in this one, and also the defense, by the way, holding the Spurs to 90 points. The Timberwolves broke out a mostly successful zone defense for the first time this season, or I should say it was successful, really, for the first time this season. We're going to break it all down on the post-game podcast. Be sure you're following.
I don't know what the Utah Jazz expected to get out of 16-year veteran Rudy Gay last night in his season debut, but it probably wasn't a team high in scoring to help beat the Raptors. Locked On Jazz tells you more about Gay's outstanding first impression in Utah.
Rudy Gay's return made everybody happy, and the Jazz three-point shooting finally arrived. Hi, I'm David Locke. This from Locked On Jazz. The Utah Jazz blow out the Toronto Raptors 119-103. Story here, Rudy Gay makes his first appearance as a member of the Utah Jazz in his 16th season. He leads the Jazz in scoring with 20 points on 7 of 8 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3 in just 18 minutes of work. But the Jazz, who have the number 1 rated offense in the NBA, have not been able to find the stroke from 3 this year, shooting just 33%. But tonight against the Raptors, a season-high 19 threes on 34 assists by the group, and balance 7 different players in double figures as the Jazz ran the Raptors off the floor with a 119-103 win. If you want more, go to Locked On Jazz on the Locked On Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap for us today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Now your first listen every day. For more on the association and your team, make sure your second listens are Locked On NBA and your team's local Locked On podcast. I'm Daniella Bruce, and this has been Locked On Now.